I spent 3 months asking professional tradespeople one question, not what's your favorite tool, not what brand do you swear by, what tool do you use every single day that nobody ever talks about. The answers were almost identical across electricians, carpenters, plumbers, fabricators, and finish contractors. 25 tools. None of them are on any YouTube channel's top 10 list. Most of them cost under $50. All of them will change how you work. We're counting down from 25 to 1. Number 1, every single pro I asked mentioned it without being prompted. Stay for it. Quick note on format. For every tool, I'm giving you 3 things. What it is, why pros actually use it, and where to get it. No fluff, no padding, just the tools and the reasons. Let's go. Number 25, the offset screwdriver. Most people have never seen one. Every carpenter, every cabinet installer, every finish carpenter owns one. Here's the problem it solves. There are screws in this world that are physically unreachable with a standard screwdriver. The screw is there, the head is accessible, but there's a cabinet face, a wall, a shelf bracket, something directly above it. A standard screwdriver needs 6 inches of clearance above the screw head to work. The offset screwdriver needs almost none. It's an L-shaped tool with a driver tip on each end at 90 degrees. You rotate it a quarter turn at a time. Slow? Yes, but it drives a screw that nothing else can reach. Every cabinet installer I've ever talked to keeps one in their back pocket, not in the bag. In their pocket, because the moment you need it immediately, and you cannot do the job without it. Cost $8 to $15, available everywhere. Most people buy one after they desperately need it on a job. Buy it now, keep it in the bag. Number 24 is also a tool that solves a specific access problem, but in a completely different way. Number 24, the right angle drill attachment, not a right angle drill, the attachment. A hex shank adapter that fits any standard drill and redirects the drive 90 degrees. Why pros use it. Drilling through studs when running wire. Drilling in a cabinet corner, driving screws in tight spaces where the drill body won't fit. The full right angle drill costs $150 to $300 and is a specialty tool. The attachment costs $15 to $25 and turns the drill you already own into a right angle drill in 3 seconds. Electricians carry these constantly. Plumbers use them for drilling through joists in tight crawl spaces. Any trade that works inside walls uses this tool. It's not perfect. You lose some torque, and the bit wobbles slightly more than a dedicated right angle drill. But for occasional use in tight spots, it's the right call. Cost, $15 to $25. Fits any 3/8 or 1/2 inch chuck. Buy it before you need it. You'll need it. Number 23 is about precision layout, a tool that replaced 3 others in every pro shop I visited. Number 23. The self-leveling laser level. Not the expensive multi-line construction laser, the small $30 to $60 cross-line laser that every finish carpenter and tile setter has on their belt. Here's what it replaces: the chalk line, the long level, the constant measuring from a reference point. The laser shoots a perfectly level horizontal line and a perfectly plumb vertical line across an entire room simultaneously. You mount it on a tripod or stick it on the wall with a magnetic mount. It levels itself in 3 seconds. Everything you do in that room, tile layout, shelf installation, trim alignment, cabinet hanging, references that single line. Every piece goes in right the first time. The old way, snap a chalk line, check with a level, adjust, remeasure. Every few feet, verify it's still right. The laser way, turn it on, walk the room, everything is referenced instantly. A Finnish carpenter I know said he saves an hour per room just on layout time alone. Over a year of jobs, that's weeks of recovered time. Cost $30 to $60 for a basic cross line. Bosch, DeWalt, Weepar all make good ones. The cheap $15 versions drift, spend $40 and get one that's accurate. Number 22, a cutting tool that almost no DIYer owns, but every Finnish carpenter keeps within arm's reach. Number 22, the Japanese pull saw. Western saws cut on the push stroke. Japanese saws cut on the pull stroke. That difference is more significant than it sounds. On the pull stroke, the blade is under tension, not compression. Under tension, the blade can be made much thinner, and typically half the thickness of a Western saw. Thinner blade means narrower kerf, less material removed per cut. Narrower kerf means less resistance, which means the cut requires less force. The result? A Japanese pull saw cuts faster than a Western handsaw with significantly less effort and leaves a finer surface. The teeth are also typically triple ground, meaning 3 cutting faces per tooth instead of 1. They sever wood fibers on both sides simultaneously. The cut surface is cleaner than most power tools produce. Every Finnish carpenter, every furniture maker, every Japanese joinery enthusiast has at least one pull saw, usually several. The Suzanne or Susan brand from Japan costs $20 to $35. Gyokucho costs $25 to $50. For starting out, a 240 millimeter Ryoba, double edge, one side crosscut, one side rip, covers everything. After one cut with a good pull saw, you'll understand why every serious hand tool woodworker has abandoned Western saws. Number 21 is a measuring tool that costs $12 and is in every professional tile setter's kit. Number 21, the tile leveling clip and wedge system, not just spacers, was the full clip and wedge leveling system. Here's the difference. Traditional tile spacers keep tiles the right distance apart. They do nothing about lippage, the height difference between adjacent tiles. A leveling system puts a clip under the edge of each tile and drives a wedge through it that pulls the tiles down to a common plane. While the adhesive sets, every tile surface is at exactly the same height, zero lippage. Professional tile setters use this on every job. The result is a floor that looks machine installed because every surface is flush. Without it, experienced tilers can achieve good results by feel, but it takes years to develop that feel. With it, a first-time tile setter produces professional results immediately. A pack of 100 clips and 50 wedges costs $15 to $25. Reusable. The wedge is pulled out after the adhesive sets, the clip snaps off and is removed. This is the single tool that most dramatically improves tile work quality for anyone who doesn't tile professionally every day. Number 20 is about cutting, specifically a cutting tool that every electrician carries and most homeowners have never seen. Number 20, the cable ripper. You know wire strippers? Most garages have a pair. A cable ripper is different. Romex cable, the standard sheathed electrical cable in most homes, has an outer plastic jacket over the individual conductors. To work with it, you need to remove that jacket. Most people use a utility knife. They score along the cable, hope they don't nick the insulation on the conductors inside, and peel. Every electrician I've spoken to has a story about someone cutting into a conductor with a utility knife and creating a fault that showed up months later. A cable ripper has a pointed blade that you insert into the end of the cable, run along its length, and zip. Clean cut through the jacket. Nothing touches the conductors inside. Takes 3 seconds. Impossible to cut into the wire itself. Cost $3 to $8. Every electrician has one. If you ever do any electrical work, outlets, switches, light fixtures, own one. Number 19 is about holding things in place, a clamping solution that most pros use and most DIY ERs have never considered. 19 more to go, and I want to flag number 7 right now. Number 7 is the tool that got mentioned by every single tradesperson I talked to, not as their favorite, as the one they'd take to a desert island. Keep watching. Number 19, the F-clamp, in quantity. You probably have 1 or 2, pros have 20. Here's the thing about clamping that most amateur shops get wrong. You almost never need a better clamp. You need more clamps. A glue joint needs even pressure across its entire surface. 2 clamps on a 6-foot panel means the middle isn't clamped. The joint looks fine, holds for a few months, and then opens. F-clamps, the sliding bar style, are the workhorse clamping solution. Faster to apply than C-clamps, more reach than spring clamps, more versatile than pipe clamps for most work. A good F-clamp costs $6 to $12 each. Buy 10. Minimum. Every furniture maker, every cabinet builder, every Finnish carpenter has more clamps than they think they need, because the number you think you need is always wrong. The rule, however many clamps you own, double it. Then you'll have enough for most jobs. Number 18 is a layout tool that every professional framer uses and most DIY ERs replace with something slower and less accurate. Number 18, the speed square, used correctly. Most people own a speed square. Almost nobody uses it for more than marking a 90-degree line. Here's what it actually does. The hypotenuse edge has degree markings. The scales labeled common, hip/val, and degrees are rafter layout tools for cutting roof framing at any angle without a calculator. Every framer uses these markings constantly. You set the square to the pitch, mark the plumb cut, mark the seat cut. Done. No trigonometry. The square also works as a circular saw fence. Hook the lip over the board edge, run the saw base against the hypotenuse. Perfect crosscut every time, but the degree markings are where most people leave money on the table. If you ever cut rafters, stair stringers, or any angled framing, the speed square does the layout in 30 seconds that would otherwise require a calculator, a protractor, and 3 checks. Framers and carpenters use these markings every single day. Most DIYers have had the tool for years and never used that half of it. The tool you already own is more capable than you think. That's true of the next one too. Number 17, the carbide grit oscillating blade. You probably have an oscillating tool. You probably have the standard bimetal blades. The carbide grit blade is different. Instead of teeth, the cutting edge is coated in carbide grit, similar to what's on a grinding wheel. What it cuts that standard blades can't: grout, ceramic tile, hardened thinset mortar, cured caulk, fiber cement board, sheet metal with embedded abrasive. These are the jobs where every other cutting tool either can't do it or destroys itself trying. Every tile contractor carries carbide blades. Every renovation contractor who deals with hardened materials carries them. The blade costs $15 to $25, and they're more than standard blades. But it's the right tool for materials that eat through standard blades in 60 seconds. If you've ever tried to remove grout with a standard oscillating blade and watched it dull in real time, this is what you should have been using. Number 16 is a finish tool that every painter and plasterer uses and almost no DIYer knows exists. Number 16, the hawk and trowel combination. The hawk is the square flat plate with a handle underneath. It holds a portion of plaster, joint compound, or stucco while you work. The trowel applies it. Most DIYers apply joint compound directly from the bucket with a putty knife or a wide drywall knife. They're constantly going back to the bucket. The compound on the tool dries faster than they can use it. They chase wet compound around a wall. Every plasterer, every drywall finisher, every stucco contractor works from a hawk. You load the hawk with the right amount of material. You work from the hawk. The material stays workable because it's in a manageable quantity, not exposed to air in a large bucket. The technique difference is significant. The hawk forces you to work in sections, load correctly, and maintain consistency. It's not just a convenience tool. It changes how you apply the material. Cost $15 to $25 for a good aluminum hawk, $10 to $20 for a finishing trowel. If you ever patch drywall, do any plastering or skim coat, work from a hawk. The results improve immediately. Number 15, back to cutting, a blade upgrade that most people overlook entirely. Number 15, premium saw blades. Specifically, the right one for the material. Most people buy the blade that came with their saw, or the cheapest replacement. Every Finnish carpenter and cabinet maker buys Freud Diablo or equivalent premium blades. Here's what you're actually buying with a premium blade. Tooth geometry. The angle and shape of each tooth is optimized for specific materials. A 40-tooth general purpose blade cuts wood fine. An 80-tooth fine crosscut blade leaves a surface that needs no sanding. A melamine blade has triple chip geometry that prevents tear out on laminate. A laminate flooring blade is made for the abrasive aluminum oxide in the surface. Using the wrong blade for the material means more tear out, more roughness, more sanding, more time. A premium blade costs $30 to $60. It stays sharp 3 to 5 times longer than a cheap blade and cuts more cleanly the entire time. Every Finnish carpenter has multiple blades and changes them for the material, not because they're obsessive and because the right blade makes the job faster. The blade is half the cut. The blade is half the cut. Number 14, a layout tool that replaces a tape measure for one specific job and does it so much better it seems like cheating. 14 down, 11 more before the top 10. Number 7 is still coming. I'll keep reminding you because it genuinely deserves the wait. Let's keep going. Number 14, the story pole, not a product you buy. A technique using a stick. A story pole is a long, straight piece of wood, a furring strip, a piece of trim, on which you mark the layout of a repetitive element. Cabinet positions, tile courses, stud locations, window header heights. Here's why pros use it instead of a tape measure. When you measure with a tape, every mark introduces the possibility of measurement error. You measure from 0 to the first mark, measure again to the second. Each measurement is a separate act with separate opportunities for error. With a story pole, you mark the spacing once accurately on the pole. Then you transfer the marks by holding the pole against the wall and marking through. Every mark comes from the same reference. the pole itself. No cumulative error, no remeasuring. A tile setter setting out a floor uses a story pole to find the best starting point so cut tiles at the edges are equal on both sides. A cabinet installer uses one so every cabinet goes exactly where it should. A trim carpenter uses one to keep window stools and aprons consistent across a room. Cost, a piece of scrap wood, $0. The technique takes 5 minutes to learn and saves hours on any repetitive layout job. Number 13 is a hand tool that costs $8 and replaces an hour of frustrating marking work. Number 13. The marking gauge, a small tool with a fence and a scribing pin or blade. You set the fence to a distance, lock it, and run it along the edge of the work. The pin scribes a line at exactly that distance from the edge. Every time, perfectly parallel, without remeasuring. Every woodworker uses one constantly. Setting mortise positions, marking tenon shoulders, scribing dovetail baselines, marking the rabbet depth on a panel, setting the reveal on a door hinge. Anytime you need a line at a consistent distance from an edge, repeated multiple times, a marking gauge does it in seconds to a precision a pencil and tape measure can't match. The scribing pin leaves a hairline mark that's more precise than any pencil. The fence references the same edge every time. No parallax, no measurement variation. A basic wheel marking gauge costs $12 to $20. A premium version with a micro-adjust wheel costs $40 to $80. Start with the basic. It does 90% of everything you'll ever use it for. If you do any woodworking at all, own a marking gauge. Number 12 is a demolition tool that every renovation contractor carries and most homeowners try to live without. Number 12, the reciprocating saw with the right blades loaded. Most people have a reciprocating saw. Most people have 1 or 2 blades. Every renovation contractor carries a full blade assortment, 6-inch 6 TPI for fast rough cuts in wood. Framing, demo, structural, 6-inch 14 TPI for wood with embedded nails. The nail eater blade, 9-inch 6 TPI for deep cuts through thick material. 6-inch bimetal for metal pipe and conduit. 6-inch carbide for fiber cement, plaster, and hard materials. The blade makes the reciprocating saw a completely different tool. With the wrong blade, you're fighting the material. With the right blade, the tool does what it's supposed to. The nail eater blade specifically. When you're demolishing old framing, you hit nails constantly. A wood blade hits a nail and stops or bends or breaks. The nail eater has carbide set teeth that chew through nails without stopping. Demo work that takes an hour becomes 20 minutes. Every renovation contractor has all 5 blade types in their bag, not as a luxury, because without the right blade, you stop working. Number 11, a measurement and transfer tool that eliminates one of the most error-prone steps in any installation job. Number 11, the contour gauge, the tool with the sliding metal pins that conform to any profile. You press it against a baseboard, a door casing, a tile edge, a pipe. The pins slide to match the exact shape. You transfer that shape to your material and cut. Perfect fit. First try. Every flooring installer uses one to fit flooring around door casings. Every trim carpenter uses one to scribe molding around irregular profiles. Every tile setter uses one to cut tile around pipes and obstacles. The alternative, hold the material in place, mark with a compass, cut, test fit, adjust, cut again. That process takes 15 minutes and produces a mediocre result. The contour gauge takes 30 seconds and produces a perfect fit. A basic plastic version costs $8 to $12. A metal version with finer pins costs $20 to $35 and is worth it for detail work where precision matters. Every installer has one. Every trim carpenter has one. Most DIYers who try to fit flooring around a door casing discover they need one halfway through the job. Buy it before you start. It pays for itself on the first cut. Number 10, the one that changed how I think about finishing work entirely. Number 10, the card scraper. A thin rectangle of hardened steel, no handle, no moving parts. Looks like something you'd use to scrape a windshield. Every furniture maker, every fine woodworker, every finish carpenter who does hardwood work keeps one at the bench. Here's what it does that sandpaper can't. A properly tuned card scraper has a microscopic hook on its edge, a burr formed by burnishing with a hardened rod. When you flex the scraper slightly and push it across wood, that burr removes extremely thin shavings, not dust, actual shavings, from the surface. The result, a surface that's flatter, more consistent, and more reflective than anything 220 grit sandpaper produces. Without the sanding marks, without the heat that closes wood grain, without the dust, on hardwood especially. Cherry, maple, walnut, card scraper produces a surface that takes finish better than sanded wood because the grain is still open. Cost, $5 to $15 for a set of scrapers, $15 to $20 for a burnisher to form the burr. Learning to tune a card scraper takes 20 minutes. After that, it's the last step on every hardwood surface. Number 9 is a safety and precision tool that every welder and fabricator uses and almost no DIYer thinks to own. Top 9. Number 7 is two-away, the tool that every single tradesperson mentioned. Without being prompted, 2 more. Keep watching. Number 9, welding magnets, magnetic fixtures that hold metal at precise angles, 45, 90, 135 degrees, that while you tack weld. The problem they solve, holding 2 pieces of metal at exactly 90 degrees while simultaneously positioning the welder and striking an arc, requires either 3 hands or a good fixture. Welding magnets provide the fixture. You position the pieces, the magnets hold them square, you tack, check for square, adjust if needed, finish welding. Every fabricator, every automotive welder, every hobbyist welder who builds anything with more than one piece uses welding magnets constantly. The alternative, clamps, vices, creative use of gravity, a helper. All of these are slower and less precise than a $20 set of magnets. A set of 4 assorted welding magnets costs $15 to $25. They hold up to 50 to 75 pounds depending on the size. They are the fastest way to hold metal square for tacking. If you weld anything, buy a set. This weekend. Number 8 is a plumbing tool that anyone who has ever sweated copper or worked with PEX tubing will immediately recognize. Number 8, the PEX crimp tool. PEX tubing has largely replaced copper in new residential plumbing for good reasons. It's flexible, it doesn't corrode, it's cheaper, and it connects with a crimp tool instead of a torch. Every plumber does PEX now. Every renovation that touches water lines is either converting to PEX or running new PEX. The crimp tool makes the connection. Slide the copper crimp ring over the tube, insert the fitting, crimp with the tool, done. Watertight immediately, no torch, no flux, no solder, no fire risk. No waiting for the connection to cool before testing. No worrying about moisture in the pipe preventing the solder from flowing. A PEX crimp tool costs $30 to $60. The fittings cost $1 to $3 each. The tubing costs less than copper. If you ever do any plumbing work, even just replacing a shutoff valve, owning a PEX crimp tool opens up the entire modern plumbing system to you. Learn to use it on one connection. After that, it's trivial. Number 7, the one I've been building to. Number 7, the dead blow hammer. Every tradesperson I interviewed mentioned it. Plumbers, carpenters, mechanics, fabricators. Same answer, unprompted. Here's why. A standard hammer rebounds, strikes something, and some of that energy comes back as vibration. On a finished surface, that rebound can mar the surface. On a stuck component, a frozen joint, a stubborn part, the rebound reduces effective force. A dead blow hammer is hollow and filled with steel shot or sand. When you strike, the shot continues moving forward after impact and delivers a second, sustained blow in the same direction. No rebound. All energy goes into the work. What this means in practice: driving a wooden mallet below without marring a finished surface, seating a stuck pipe fitting without bouncing back, persuading a seized bolt without the hammer jumping off, installing flooring without the rubber marks of a rubber mallet. The dead blow hammer is the most versatile striking tool in any professional's kit. It replaces the rubber mallet for most applications. It does things a standard hammer can't without damage. Cost $20 to $35. Orange polyurethane face, shot-filled interior. Every mechanic, every carpenter, every plumber. This was the tool nobody prompted them about, and every one of them brought up. That's not coincidence. That's a consensus from people who work with tools every day. Number 6, from striking to measuring, a precision layout tool that every electrician and fabricator uses for marking metal. Number 6, the carbide scribe, Marking on metal. Pencil marks on metal are invisible under shop lighting. Marker smears. Paint marker is too thick. The carbide scribe scratches a line into the metal surface. Fine, permanent, visible from any angle under any light. Every metal worker, every fabricator, every HVAC technician who lays out sheet metal uses a scribe. Every machinist marks their stock before cutting. The scribe line is more precise than any drawn line because it has no width. It's a physical groove in the surface. Cost, $5 to $12. Lasts indefinitely. The carbide tip essentially never wears. If you work with metal in any capacity, sheet, pipe, bar, plate, a carbide scribe is a required tool. Using a marker or a pencil on metal is the amateur approach. Number 5, a surface preparation tool that every painter uses and almost no DIYer reaches for first. Number 5, liquid deglosser. Before painting a glossy surface, previously painted trim, cabinets, furniture, anything with a sheen, you need to break that surface so the new paint can bond. The standard approach, sand everything. Sanding trim is slow. Sanding cabinets with profiles is tedious. Sanding curved furniture is a project in itself. Liquid deglosser, liquid sandpaper, does chemically what sanding does mechanically. You wipe it on with a cloth, it chemically etches the surface, the sheen disappears, the surface is ready for primer. No dust, no clogged sandpaper, no aching hands. Every professional painter uses it on trim and cabinets, not because they're lazy, because it's faster and the result is the same. A bottle of Wilbond or Cruex costs $10 to $15 and covers an entire kitchen's worth of cabinets. It works on all oil-based and most latex finishes. Wipe on. Wait 10 minutes, wipe off residue, prime, paint. If you're painting anything that has an existing finish on it, liquid deglosser first, then decide how much sanding you actually need. Often the answer is none. Number 4, a clamping solution that appears in every professional wood shop in quantities that seem excessive until you use it. Number 4, the pocket hole jig. Every production cabinet shop uses pocket holes. Every furniture builder who works on a schedule uses pocket holes. Every contractor who builds site-built shelving and cabinets uses pocket holes. Here's why. A pocket hole joint takes 30 seconds to make. A mortise and tenon takes 30 minutes. A biscuit joint takes 10 minutes. A dowel joint takes 15 minutes. For a cabinet carcass, the box, pocket holes are completely adequate. The joint is strong enough for the application. The time savings are enormous. Purists argue pocket holes are inferior joinery. They're right. In terms of pure mechanical strength and longevity, a mortise and tenon is superior, but a cabinet carcass doesn't need the strength of a mortise and tenon. It needs to hold shelves and door hardware. Pocket holes do that for 30 years. A Craig Jig R3 costs $25. The full K4 system costs $80. The R3 handles most work. A number 2 square bit, the correct Craig screws for the material thickness, and you can build a cabinet carcass in an hour instead of a day. Every production shop, every site-built cabinet, every efficiency-conscious woodworker, pocket holes. Number 3, a finishing tool that every sprayer and painter owns that dramatically improves any sprayed finish. Number 3, the viscosity cup. If you spray any finish, lacquer, polyurethane, waterborne finish, stain, paint through an HVLP gun, the consistency of the material matters as much as anything. Too thick, the gun spits, the finish is uneven, orange peel everywhere. Too thin, runs, poor build, multiple coats needed. Every professional finisher measures viscosity before spraying, not guesses, measures. A viscosity cup is a small cup with a calibrated hole in the bottom. You fill it, lift it, and time how long it takes to drain. That number, light in seconds, is the viscosity. The finishing product has a recommended range. You thin to spec or thicken with the right additive. Every batch, every time. Cost, $5 to $12 for a basic DIN4 or Ford 4 cup. The difference between a sprayed finish that requires 3 coats and heavy sanding and one that goes on right the first time is often viscosity, not technique, not equipment, viscosity. Number 2, a workshop safety and efficiency tool that every professional shop has running and every amateur shop ignores. Number 2, dedicated dust collection. Not the shop vac you connect to, your sander occasionally. A dedicated dust collector, the 2-stage or single-stage units with the large bag or drum running continuously during woodworking. Here's the difference. A shop vac moves air fast through a small filter. It's designed for wet and dry debris pickup. It is not optimized for fine dust. the 1 micron particles that cause lung damage, and the 5 micron particles that are barely visible but fill the air. A dust collector moves a higher volume of air at lower velocity through a large filter surface area. It captures fine dust better and maintains suction longer before the filter loads up. Every professional woodshop runs dust collection on every tool. Table saw, router table, planer, jointer, all connected. Not because it's tidy, because fine wood dust causes respiratory disease. That's not dramatic language, it's occupational health data. A single-stage 1.5 horsepower dust collector costs $150 to $250. It has 4-inch ports that connect to your tools with flexible hose. This is the tool that the professionals mentioned as the one they couldn't work without, not the fancy jointer, not the wide belt sander, the dust collector, because without it the shop isn't safe to work in for long. Number 1, the most universally used, least discussed, highest impact tool in any professional's kit. Number 1, the caulk gun. I know what you're thinking. Everyone has a caulk gun. You're right. Everyone has a caulk gun. Almost nobody has a good one. Here's what separates a $4 caulk gun from an $18 ratchet drive or smooth rod gun. The cheap gun applies caulk in pulses. You squeeze, the ratchet clicks, a burst of material comes out, release, no material, squeeze again, another burst. The result, an uneven bead with thick spots at every click. Tooling it smooth takes multiple passes. A smooth rod gun maintains constant pressure. You squeeze, material flows continuously and evenly. You release. The pressure rod has a quick release that immediately stops flow. The bead is uniform. One tooling pass, and it's done. Every painter, every tile contractor, every window installer, anyone who applies caulk as part of their job, uses a smooth rod or dripless gun. Not because they have money to spend on equipment, because a $4 gun slows them down and produces worse results. The $18 newborn or Red Devil smooth rod gun pays for itself on the first tube of caulk you apply. The bead is better, the cleanup is faster, the frustration is gone. This was number 1 on this list for a simple reason. Every single professional mentioned some version of get a good caulk gun, not as a pro secret, as the most obvious thing in the world that they've watched amateur after amateur overlook. A good caulk gun. Number 1, 25 tools, most of them under $30, all of them in every professional shop I've been in, none of them on any YouTube top 10 list. There's a video on the screen right now about the tools that expose amateur garages immediately. That list and this list are related. One is what amateurs have, the other is what they're missing. Go watch that next.